So what is digital marketing strategy? Digital marketing strategy is basically the plan that you have when you have to execute your online strategy, right? Rather than go in an ad hoc way, we make a detailed plan of how we are going to achieve our goal in the online space. As we go along the presentation, I'll give you some case studies and how you could build your digital marketing strategies. So why do we need a digital marketing strategy? Whenever you come online, you have a goal. So it could be either branding or performance. When we say performance, it could be sales, it could be leads. Now imagine you have a clear sales target in place for your website. So then the question comes, right? I need to be digital, I need to spend money online, but then what should be my strategy? How should I spend it online, right? So what are the various elements in digital marketing? That's where digital marketing strategy takes an important place. So what is the digital marketing strategy? Any strategy is a plan. So similarly, digital marketing strategy is a plan to achieve your digital marketing goals. So when you're doing branding, your goal would be to reach the maximum number of people at probably the lowest cost, right? And reach them at a higher frequency. So that could be in terms of branding. When you're looking at performance, right? So if you're looking at a lead generation campaign, whether it's in the education side, healthcare, or financial services, or even training, online training, any one of those, the goal could be leads, and leads at a lower cost, right? And then when you look at e-commerce, it could largely be sales at as low cost per sale as possible. You'll also have metrics like cost per acquisition of a new customer. So how to get started? So there's 7 steps as we define how to get started with your digital marketing strategy, right? The first thing is obviously branding. You clearly define your product. You need to think of how do you want to position your brand? What is the message that you want to convey to the end user about your brand, right? Then go ahead and create smart goals. Do you want sales? Do you want leads? Or do you want to increase awareness? So that's how you define your goals. Build buyer persona. Now, whom should we target? Now I have built the brand. I have identified the qualities of the brand, defined the qualities of the brand, but then I cannot show the ad to everyone. I have to define buyer persona. So how does my probable customer react? How does my probable customer act? Who should be my probable customer? So for example, if you're selling a bike, so Bajaj bike, right? Imagine they want to sell it online. They probably would not target someone who is above 50 years. Their target age group would be someone who is from 16 to 25, 16 to 35, right? And male, largely, right? So if you're selling a bike, if you're selling a scooter or a scooty, you may target women. It's not stereotypes. Let's be very, very clear. It's not stereotypes, but then it's all based on buyer persona, right? So a large part of my users of this bike are of this category or of this age group, this gender, and this from location. So you also define which location they are from. So a particular bike or a particular thing could sell more in the south, a particular thing could sell more in the north. You have your own data. So based on that, you build your buyer persona. Now the next thing is choose the right marketing strategy. What should be your strategy? Are you trying to create awareness? Are you trying to create sales? Are you trying to generate leads? So define your strategy very well. So a large part of these FMCG brands, like all these soaps or any of those, when they try to leverage digital, they try to do branding. So increase awareness about the features of the product to the customers, right? Increase awareness about the features of the product to the customer. That's the most important thing for them. So you would always see them on YouTube video ads, right? You would always see them in Facebook. You would also see them in Instagram, and sometimes in Snapchat or any of these channels. They would do in large volume with the main objective to reach maximum number of people at a lower cost. So define your marketing strategy. What is it? Is it branding? Is it sales? Or is it lead generation? Now the next thing is, once you have defined it, how do you allocate marketing budgets? The next thing is define marketing budgets and then allocate the marketing budgets to the right channels. So today there are multiple channels which are available, and each channel has its own properties. So for example, there is Google search. You have all intent. So people already have the intent to take an action, do a purchase. So when you want to drive sales or drive leads, right? So you do search. On the other hand, if you look at Facebook or Instagram or any of those, Snapchat or any of these channels, right? So there's not much of intent. So you do a push, but then that's also drives sales in some cases. That also drives engagement. So you have different metrics. So based on those metrics, you define your marketing budget across various channels, If it's a financial services product, you would go ahead and do on money control, you would go ahead and do in economic times. And the next thing is launch your marketing campaigns. So you've done the plan, you allocated all your budgets, go ahead and launch it and keep track. And then there is a circular loop, right? So once you keep track, you evaluate what is the performance of each of these channels, which had a better impact in terms of what your goals were. And then you use that as a feedback. And then for the next month or the next quarter, you realign your marketing budgets in the same line as, based on your goals. So key points to note: always set an objective. Yes, analyze your past efforts. There should always be feedback so that you constantly improve and then make this channel as a very effective channel, right? Because the thing is, the biggest limitation or the good thing or the bad thing with digital marketing is everything is tracked. So now everything is tracked, which is good because now you know how much of your budget got wasted. Because there is a theory which says 50% of a marketing budget has gone waste. The only limitation is I don't know which one. In digital marketing, you can clearly know which part of your budget has gone waste to a large extent. Now that's also a problem. How are you using that information to improve your campaigns in the future? So that's where there's a constant requirement for feedback. Use past data and try to improve future campaigns, right? So communicate. The entire digital marketing space is very new to a lot of advertisers. Most of the senior staff in the industry have experienced offline advertising to the core, right? And the good thing about offline advertising is if you do a hoarding, you see the hoarding at that particular place. If you do a print ad, you see print ad at that particular place. Unlike digital advertising, until and unless you take a roadblock ad on some of these top newspapers, whether it is Economic Times or Money Control or any of those, the senior manager would not see it. How do you then help him understand? So if you do a Google search ad, right? If you're running a Google search ad for someone, if you run out of budget, when the person's actually, when the boss sees the ad, the ad doesn't show up, which also brings to the point you have to constantly communicate, educate them, right? The advantages of digital marketing, the limitations of digital marketing. The more important thing is the limitations of digital marketing, right? So then lastly, make an effective plan. As you have a detailed feedback loop, inputs from multiple sources, plan becomes more effective as you go along. How to structure your plan? So first is have detailed plan, right? So define your reach. Whom do you want to reach? Who is your target audience? And then how do you want to reach them? Which are the channels you want to advertise so that you reach your target audience? So to give you a simple example, Snapchat, take example of Snapchat. Snapchat today in India has probably around 40 million users. But if you look at it, segregate the audience or users into various categories, 95% of them are in the age group of 16 to 23. You have this particular data point. So now if I'm trying to reach people, both boys and girls or men or women in that particular age group, I know Snapchat is the best tool, best channel. So when we say reach, so you identify whom you want to reach, and the second thing is how you want to reach. Once you identify whom you want to reach, you also know their buyer persona, their age, their demographics, their gender, their location. Then you identify the channel which helps you to reach this particular set of audience. Now the next thing is go and act. Act is go and execute your campaigns, and then obviously you track your conversions, right? So then engagement. So there is a research which says in the online space, before any customer takes action on a website, he has to interact with that particular brand either on their website or on multiple websites which are not under their control for at least 80 times. So engagement is the most important thing here. So the more you engage the customer across multiple channels, either just with your presence or through your paid advertising, the higher the chances that the customer will come and do a purchase or take an action on your website. So engagement is very important, right? So that's how you build your entire digital marketing strategy. So take an example. Most of you would have experienced this, right? You go to Myntra or you go to Amazon.in, you check out some products, you see some 3-4 products, did not do any transaction. Now you go to any other website where you're reading content. So you will see an ad. You'll see an ad which has 6 products. You'll see a banner ad which has 6 products. So what are we trying to do there? One, we call that as remarketing. but then we are also trying to engage with the customer. When you go to the website, you only have seen 1 or 2 products, but when you see the ad, you see 6 products or sometimes more than those. So what Amazon is trying, or any e-commerce retailer is trying to show to the end customer, see, I have more products than what you have seen. Forget sales as a first point. As a first thing, you are saying, boss, I have more products than you have actually seen on my website, which might be very useful to you, very relevant to you. Some part of this budget gets allocated to branding, some part of this budget gets allocated to performance. Ideally, it should be, but a large part of it gets allocated to performance or sales. So engagement is a very important metric. So how many times did the customer interact with our brand before taking any action? Now, how do you increase engagement for a new customer? So he lands up on the page. If it's a lead generation, you cannot do anything. Largely, you have just the form before the customer can do anything. But if when you're doing SEO, he comes onto your site. So you have to structure the page in such a way that the user visits more than 2 pages or more than 3 pages when he's actually visiting your site. So how do you do it? So the content that is built, the content that is developed would have a lot of internal links, right? So very, very relevant topics to that particular product, the main product that he's seeing, the main content that he's reading, right? And then you send him to the next page. So he reads more information. So look at it this way. Take an example. If you want to open a demat account in the financial services, demat, or take loans, for example, if you want to take a loan, you come to a particular page. You read about how to get a loan. You know, there's a loan from SBI, there's a loan from Citibank, there's a loan from any of these banks, right? But you have another question. What is the interest rate? So now another page which talks about interest rates, you will go visit the page on interest rates, get that information there, right? So now, okay, you define the interest rates. Now, what are the payment terms? How do you pay? Do you pay at the beginning of the month? Do you pay at the end of the month? So these are all FAQs. These are all questions which people have, right? So there are how, what, why, right? So if you're actually answering them, interlinking all of them, you're engaging the customer more. The more you engage the customer, the higher the chances that he will take an action on the site, and higher the chances that our digital marketing plan execution becomes successful.